one of the things I learned, you know, I would say not learned, but reminded of working with Derek is that I'm gonna go back to the integrity thing on this because this is one way that I would say he enhances his circle. I've been fortunate enough to, when I come to his place to train him, see several business negotiations and how he handles things like contractors and whatnot. And he'll operate with a certain sense of integrity in his business, right? And occasionally you're going to run into a contractor who does not. Like, and what you will never see, and this is really important for the way that you guys, like your personal businesses, is you will never see Derek say, well, if that's the way you're doing business, then that's the way I'm doing business. Like, I've seen contractors that did not uphold their end of the bargain, and he will 100% execute exactly the way that he said he would. He'll eventually get what he was supposed to get from these people. He will execute the way that he said he would, but he won't compromise on his integrity. And he will just say, this is a person that does not belong in my social circle. And they get replaced with someone who should be in the social circle. And that can come from someone who previously maybe you thought that brand was good. They were able to hide the fact that they weren't a brand of integrity for a while, and then it'll eventually rear its head up. Like if you lack integrity, like it'll come eventually, and it might come at your cost. But the moment that you do that, it's like, don't stoop to that level. I'm gonna do things the way that my brand does things, my personal brand or my business or whatever. But you will get eliminated from my social circle, and you will get replaced with something of quality. So that is one way that he expands his circle of people that he can count on.
Just related to that type of thinking, the reason I behave that way, and I think you'd find this relatable, and had these experiences in some similar ways and some different or cooler and more unique ways than myself even, but like, if you behave that way for a period of time and people know that you're that way, like, you get a lot of cool opportunities, People invite you to a lot of cool things. Mm-hmm. And you got so many, and I'll try to say this objectively without it sounding, kind of cocky or something of the sort, but like, you can get invited to so much great stuff. You don't have time for any good stuff. I don't have time for good stuff. I surely don't have time for mediocre and bad stuff. What are we going to do with that? We're paid to avoid that,
Yeah.
So like, and then some people don't understand that, and this is where you'll get in trouble with, like middle class or upper middle class. Like, oh, come do this thing, blah 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 blah. So hey, thank you. I just don't have the time. I just don't have, If I could be alive 10,000 years, like, probably I still wouldn't be interested, but maybe. But I just don't have the time, But thank you for, and I can say sincerely, like, thank you for thinking of me, like. I just can't make that a priority right now. Sometimes people get mad at you about that type of thing. But the more important part is when somebody's not treating you well, when somebody's, I don't know, if I said I was going to do something, I'll do it. And if somebody else doesn't behave that way, if that's too much of a barrier for us to agree on, and like we could both do that together, like, it's just not the right person for me, I'm probably not really mad at it at all. I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. I forgot. That's how humans are. It's a normal human thing, normative behavior, how average people act. Like, am I supposed to be mad at all of humanity about that? It's like, just how they act. But I don't behave that way, and I feel entitled that I should not be around people who behave that way. And there's just enough high-quality people out there that have the same frustration that I do, and similar values, goals, ethics, morals, whatever combination of those things, that you're delighted when you meet each other. Yeah. Be like, oh, that's a guy that actually shows up and like does the stuff he says. Oh, and he's thoughtful and like trying to help me with a couple extra things too. Like when you meet people like that, it'd be like, oh, like immediately my brain is thinking like, that's great, that's super useful. And then a second later, I'm thinking, what can I do for them that make it easy for them to stick around in my life? What could I do for that man, for that woman? What could I do for that person? Make it super easy for them to stick around in my life too. That's going to be a useful person. That guy's going to be useful to me for something. I don't even know what, I don't necessarily have to have a something in mind at the moment. Like, maybe there's some context that we can do something fun together. Maybe there's a short-term context that's, transactional. But I'm thinking about the bigger picture. If I see those type of, psychological attributes or integrity indicators, I know that that might be a useful person later. And I'll try to find a context in the short term, midterm, so we could be around each other and, and build on that. And oftentimes something very sincere and organic and valuable happens from those type of interactions or communications over time, So I just want to go nurture more of those type of things and, plant enough seeds with high quality people that something beautiful can grow there later. And if there's somebody else that's around for the short term and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, it's like, all right, like that's how humans behave. Like, I don't hate them, probably not going to raise my voice. I'm going to try to communicate with them, clearly and assertively, and soon enough I won't be communicating with them at all. So in the short term, we're going to try to have some clarity and assertiveness of like, hey, get this shit done, get it done by this time. If you do that, you're going to get paid, and then get the out of here. And we never need to talk again. And it's that type of a communication sometimes,
Well, I can tell a story about my career, actually. Before I made it in the UFC, I was fighting for this organization called, it was here in Vegas, the WFA, World Fighting Alliance. And I fought for them once, and then they called me back for a second fight, and it was with Chuck Liddell. And this was before I was in the UFC. And when we got the call, I was really excited. And my manager turned it down. And it was the best payday I would have had. It was like, I don't know, at the time, like a $30,000 payday, which was huge outside of the UFC for any kind of organization, particularly in like 2002 or whatever year it was. And so, you're moving up the ranks, and when you get offered a payday like that, you're quick to jump on it. And my manager's like, nope. And I don't understand, because it was an easy way for me to jump the line. And when you try to jump the line, sometimes your business might not be ready to deliver, and I wasn't. And that became apparent to me over time, but my manager sat and talked to me. He said, if you take this fight right now, he's like, Chuck beats you. And we had a discussion. He's like, he's just ahead of the game, and you're not quite there yet. But a year or two down the road, it's a completely different fight. And so there was no quick way for me to jump the line. Like as an athlete, it's you got to get recognized, and people got to trust that you're going to deliver. And that's really what you're building. Is like, well, I've seen this person, not just one fluke knockout fight, but I've seen this person deliver consistently over and over and over again. And that comes down to not only your athletic ability, but your professional. You make weights. You don't ever have to worry about me missing weight or anything like that. And that just, it's a time matter when it boils down to it. If your brand is there, and your brand has the reputation, and then it's just about awareness, then you can blast out as much as you want, right? You just have to make sure that if you're going to take your brand from this level to this level, that it's capable of that kind of performance. I had a friend who was he had a bakery, and then he signed a deal with the Kroger group and he was suddenly on the hook for having to deliver baked goods to hundreds of stores. And he did not have the commercial kitchen for something like that. So his brand, he had a great brand, and his brand had all the integrity, but then suddenly he signed this one deal and he was not able to deliver. And then that just kills everything, right? That's no reflection on your brand at that moment until you can't deliver because you just overpromised. So if you have the ability, whether it's a financial thing or whatever, to market the way that you need to market, to elevate your brand's awareness, as long as your brand can deliver at the awareness level at which you want to put it, then you're fine. And if that's the way you want to jump the line, then that's the way you need to go about doing it. So then it just depends on what you believe the best marketing campaign or structure is to make that thing happen.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.